Hi, I'm Charlotte, a 29-year-old special education teacher. Let me tell you about the time my father made me feel invisible while worshiping the ground my younger sister walked on. Look at these progress reports, Evelyn, I said, practically bouncing with excitement in the teacher's lounge. Tommy finally made eye contact today, and Jenny spoke 3 full sentences. That's amazing, Charlotte, Evelyn replied, smiling warmly. Your methods really work. Those kids are lucky to have you. But my joy evaporated when my phone buzzed. Another family dinner invitation. My stomach tightened as I read my father's text. Mia's got big news. Be there at 7. Evelyn rolled her eyes knowingly. Another showcase for the golden child. At least someone here appreciates what we do, I muttered, thinking about my principal, David, who just approved my proposal for a sensory room expansion. Gathering my teaching materials, I sighed and prepared for the evening ahead. Later, I stepped into my childhood home. Mia was already holding court, her designer blazer pristine, her smile dazzling. The partners were so impressed. They're fast-tracking my promotion, she exclaimed. Daddy, you should have seen their faces when I closed that merger deal. That's my girl, Dad said, his chest puffed with pride. A real career, real success. I pushed my food around on my plate, wishing I could disappear, something I'd mastered in this house. Charlotte, how's that little daycare job of yours? Mia smirked. It's not a daycare, Mia. I run a specialized program for children with autism, and we're seeing incredible results. Speaking of results, Dad interrupted. When are you going to get a real job? Your mother, God rest her soul, always worried you weren't living up to your potential. My job is real, Dad. Just today, one of my students. Playing with kids all day isn't a career, he cut me off. Mia's out there changing the world. But you? He shook his head. What do you even make at that place? Money isn't everything, Dad. These kids are making breakthroughs. Breakthroughs? Mia laughed. Like stacking blocks. Meanwhile, I'm managing million-dollar accounts. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. Those kids show more emotional intelligence in one day than this family has in years. They're pure, honest, and are changing lives, including mine. Don't be so dramatic, Charlotte, Dad sighed. We just want what's best for you. No, I said, grabbing my purse. You want what looks best to your country club friends. I'm done trying to measure up to your warped definition of success. Evelyn's earlier words echoed in my head as I walked out. Your worth isn't measured by their validation. Some people are too blind to see the light they're standing in. On the drive home, my phone buzzed with a text from Mia. You're just jealous because you couldn't cut it in the real world. If only they knew what real strength looked like the breakthroughs I witnessed in my classroom every day. The world was already spinning when Mia announced her engagement to Mason, some hotshot CEO she'd been dating for 6 months. Naturally, Dad turned it into the social event of the season. Did you hear? Mia's marrying into the Preston family, Dad bragged at the country club. Yes, that Preston Industries. At the engagement party, I stood in the corner, fingering the Teaching Excellence Award in my purse. I brought it, hoping for just one moment of fatherly pride. There you are, Charlotte. Mia's saccharine voice interrupted my thoughts. She dragged Mason over, his smile blindingly white, his cologne expensive. Mason has this amazing investment opportunity, Mia gushed. Very exclusive. We're offering early shares to family first. Mason grinned. Guaranteed returns of 40% in 6 months. That sounds unusually high, I said, my skepticism kicking in. The numbers didn't add up. Especially after what David had told me yesterday, whispers of fraud investigations surrounding Mason Preston. My stomach turned as Mason lowered his voice, flashing a confident smile. Your sister's already invested her clients' trust funds, he said smoothly. Smart move. How about you put in your teacher savings? We'll make you rich. My blood ran cold. Mia did what with her clients' money? Charlotte, don't be such a killjoy, Mia hissed, her tone venomous. This is completely legal. Mason knows what he's doing. I need some air, I mumbled, stepping away. As I turned to leave, I bumped into Linda, one of Mia's colleagues from her firm. Oh, Charlotte, she said in a hushed tone, glancing around nervously. I've been meaning to talk to you. Have you noticed anything strange about Mia lately? Missing client meetings? Unauthorized account access? Before I could answer, Dad's booming voice cut through the room. Everyone. A toast to Mia and Mason. The perfect power couple. He raised his glass, his pride palpable. Then his gaze landed on me. Some of us might want to take notes on what real success looks like. Richard J., one of Dad's business associates, chimed in, grinning. I've offered Charlotte a chance to join our venture, but she seems reluctant. Dad's face darkened. Charlotte, are you refusing to support your sister again? I'm not comfortable investing money I don't have into something I don't understand, I said firmly. That's your problem, Dad snapped. Always playing it safe with your little special needs kids. No vision. No ambition. The room fell silent. Mia's colleagues exchanged uneasy glances. Those little special needs kids, I said, pulling the Teaching Excellence Award from my purse, just earned me a state teaching award. Not that anyone here would care. A participation trophy, Mia sneered. Meanwhile, Mason and I are building an empire. An empire built on what, Mia? I shot back. Other people's money? Her confident facade cracked, her face twitching. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I do. Maybe that's why you're so desperate for my investment, to cover the gaps in your clients' accounts. That's enough. Dad barked, stepping between us. Charlotte, either support this family properly or leave. Gladly, I said, my voice steady as I scanned the room. Whispers erupted. Did she say client accounts? The SEC has been asking questions. Those returns can't be legal. As I walked out, my phone buzzed with a text from David. You were right about Mason Preston. Investigations go public next week. The pieces were falling into place, and for once, I was glad to be the invisible daughter. The next morning started with a gut-wrenching moment. Tommy's mother, tears streaming down her face, stood in my classroom. We've lost everything, Charlotte, she sobbed. Mason Preston's investment scheme, our savings, Tommy's therapy fund. It's all gone. My heart shattered. I hugged her tightly, my mind racing. Before I could process it, my phone rang, a call from an unknown number. Charlotte? This is Teresa Mitchell, senior partner at Hamilton & Associates. Do you have a moment to discuss your sister? I stepped into the hallway. What about Mia? We've noticed irregularities in several client accounts, large transfers to Preston Industries. Your name has come up in some conversations. My pulse quickened. What does that have to do with me? Before she could elaborate, Mia burst into my classroom after school, looking frantic. Charlotte, I need you to sign these papers, she said, thrusting a folder at me. They're just routine documents saying you witnessed some client meetings. No big deal. Last year, Mia cornered me in my classroom with a folder in hand, her demeanor frantic. Sign these, she said, shoving papers toward me. They're just routine documents, confirmations that you witnessed some client meetings. Meetings I wasn't at. My stomach dropped. What is this about, Mia? She scowled. The firm's doing an audit. I need to show proper documentation for some transfers. You mean the transfers to Mason's company, the one that wiped out Tommy's therapy fund? Her face hardened. Business has risks, not that you'd understand, playing with blocks all day. Playing with blocks? I snapped. While you're stealing from innocent people. Keep your voice down, she hissed, glancing around. Sign the papers, or I'll tell Dad you're trying to ruin my life again. I held the papers, remembering Tommy's mother sobbing in my classroom, her tears of despair. No, I said firmly, setting them down. That night, I compiled everything I knew, dates, amounts, conversations. My hands shook as I sent the evidence anonymously to Teresa Mitchell. The next morning, the headlines screamed, Preston Industries collapses amid fraud allegations. My phone erupted with texts. How dare you betray family? From Dad. They're investigating me because of you. From Mia. Your evidence was crucial. Thank you. From Teresa. I was teaching when Dad stormed into my classroom. Your sister's firm has suspended her, he growled. They're talking criminal charges. This is your fault. Mr. Anderson, please, Evelyn, my colleague, interjected. This is a classroom. Dad ignored her. Charlotte, if you just supported Mia, signed those papers. You mean helped her cover up stealing from people like Mrs. Chen. I pointed to Tommy's empty chair. Her son can't afford therapy anymore because of Mia and Mason. Business losses happen, Dad said sharply. Family protects family. Tell that to Mr. Roberts. Teresa's voice cut through the tension as she stepped into the room. He's 82 and lost his retirement fund. Or Mrs. Peterson, she can't afford cancer treatments now. Dad faltered, his confidence crumbling as Teresa listed more victims. Richard, she continued, your daughter Mia redirected client funds to Preston's Ponzi scheme. Charlotte tried to protect people. She betrayed her sister, Dad yelled. No, Teresa said firmly. She chose right over wrong. Something you taught her. Once upon a time. Dad's face crumpled. Mia said it was all legal, he whispered. She lied. Just like she's been lying about being the perfect daughter. I said, exhaustion lining my voice. As security escorted Dad out, Evelyn placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. You okay? I looked at Tommy's empty chair. I will be. Some things are more important than family loyalty. That evening, the news broke. Mia and Mason faced charges, their faces plastered on every channel. My classroom became my sanctuary. Weeks later, during lunch, Evelyn burst into the teacher's lounge. Charlotte, we got it, she exclaimed. The national grant for the autism program. Before I could celebrate, my phone rang. Turn on channel 7, David said. Your students are about to change everything. The broadcast showed Tommy standing at a podium, his voice steady. Before Miss Charlotte, I couldn't talk. Now I'm telling everyone that different isn't less. Jenny followed, using her communication device. Parents and professionals testified, praising our program. The reporter announced federal funding of $2 million. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. Dad. He'd had a heart attack. In his hospital room, his voice was weak. I was wrong, Charlotte. So wrong. I read about your program, saw Tommy speak. You did something meaningful while I was bragging about Mia's blood money. It's a bit late for that, I said, holding back tears. I know, he whispered, but, please, I'm proud of you, Charlotte. I failed as a father. Give me another chance. Save your strength, Dad. 3 months later, I stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Anderson Center for Exceptional Learning. Tommy and Jenny held the scissors, their smiles lighting up the day. A reporter approached. Miss Charlotte, any thoughts on your sister starting her sentence today while you open this facility?